Hey, what's up, guys? Dale Valor here for Modern Valor Dating. We're going to be doing a little live Q&A here for the next hour. I got my man Seth, Coach Seth, jumping on here shortly. And so we're going to be handling your questions in regards to dating and relationships. He's a inner game expert. And so if you have any kind of inner game questions or concern or anything like that, it'll be a good time to ask because that is what he specializes in. And I know a thing or two myself. So, but the good thing about that is that maybe you can get a couple of different perspectives and, just be able to learn something new from two different perspectives, two different angles, So I'm just waiting for him to hop. Oh, there he goes right there. Let me connect him in. Okay. I'm here in a second. What's up, Dave? What's up, Xavier? I see you guys. Thanks for checking in. And so we'll be doing a little Q&A here. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Yourself? How's it going?
Good, man. Wow, live and direct. You sound great. Sometimes I do these things, man, I can hardly hear the person, and I'm like, huh? Yeah, man. So, I'm just kind of waiting for some people to hop in here, and and hopefully people got some questions ready to go as we're doing a live Q&A session here for the next hour. But I know you're an inner game coach, and you are from Germany, correct?
Correct.
All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What got you into, I guess becoming more of a inner game type of expert?
Oh man, yeah, that's a big time question. For me, the biggest thing is I have this philosophy when you're getting into games. Sure, you might utilize techniques. And you might have a few storylines that you work into your approaches, let's escape to Hawaii, and let's do that. That just injects fun into the interaction that almost always works. But I feel like in time you want to create an aura or a personality that is just you congruently all the time. So you started off with the nuance of approaches and day game and that kind of thing. And then you take that confidence that you build there and you put it into your social circle, all your interactions, and now you are that person. Right?
Yeah.
And now you're naturally attracting women because that's just who you are.
Right. I got you.
Yeah.
All right. I'm a big believer in being congruent and being the leader from the beginning of the interaction all the way through. You know what I mean? I find a lot of guys, when I do coaching, some of the problems that arise is, they'll start off strong, great openers. You know what I mean? They're great at opening. And then they're good they're good all the way along the line until it comes time for seduction or when it's kind of moving into the sexual arena, we'll say.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of they're looking for the girl to take the lead at that point. And that's not congruent with who you were showing the whole time, Yeah. So now she's kind of freaked out a little bit because it's a little hard to trust somebody when you thought they were one way, and now you kind of turned it on its head and shown a completely different side of yourself that she wasn't ready for, And so that's one of the things that I really try to drive home with guys is to make sure that you lead the whole way through, So, hey, Rich, I see you, man. Thanks for checking in. So,
what's up, Rich?
Yeah. So, man. How long have you been at this? How long have you been coaching for?
Yeah. Coaching. It's been a recent entry into the coaching world. It's been as of 2020, full-time, and overall, you're going to say half a year kind of thing. So really at the moment, building my social media, building up the presence that I want to have online, and making a name. And one distinction is, I'm trying to bring it to the general populace kind of thing, which is create like this coaching that makes like genuinely like intrinsically confident people, and that you're teaching like leading is so massive.
Right.
But so many guys are just scared to do that. And
Right.
just giving these like insights to like your average Joe that he can be like, wow, I didn't know that that's possible. Right?
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. You know, one of my coaches well, he's taking a coaching program from me right now to learn how to coach. And when he gets done, he'll be coaching for Modern Valor Dating. He's in Bonn, you know, and so he's in Germany, and I've been to Germany and, well, Europe, you know, a half dozen times. And it's interesting, the difference between the dynamics between like how you do game in the States versus how you do it in Europe. Yeah. You know, there are some.
I have discovered the differences, the nuances, because I've never been to the States, right? So I don't know. Have you experimented with like approaches in Germany?
Yeah. Well, last time I was in Germany was really before I got into game, and so it was different. But the thing is that just from talking to other individuals, talking to my guy Hussein that's going to be coaching for us, and you know, just cultural things. Of course, there's the things that parallel. You know, there are some things that are exactly the same, but you know, attraction is attraction at the end of the day, right? So there's going to be some things that are the same, but there are cultural differences that you have to calibrate for, and. You know, one of the things that, from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just a perception that I have, is that it's not as common for like say at a club or a bar or something like that. Yeah. It's like, okay, I'll put it to you like this. In the United States, you know, it's socially acceptable to talk to strangers. You know, you come with a group and to interact with other groups and other groups of people. It's a place for be social, to get to know other people, to get to meet people, and it's very, very common. It's not looked at as strange or weird at any means, you know. But my understanding is like in Western Europe, much of the culture there, it's like you go with a group, you stay with your group. You don't really mingle outside of the group too much. You know what I mean? That's kind of my understanding. Correct. Maybe I'm way off base, but that's kind of my perception.
It's definitely subjective. First and foremost, there is definitely like 100% a lot more like closed offness on the German part. Like a lot of, I mean, it's kind of cultural that people are a little bit more held back, a little bit more reserved, and that also like the expression, the emotional expression of the people is more reserved, you know, like people with their parents, I don't know how it is, like they're not going to say like, I love you. Like, it's like, oh, thanks is like an expression of love, right? It's like a 0.4 second hug is, right? And so that's like definitely a distinction culturally. The nuance is, and we all know this, you determine the world. You determine the interaction, right? Yep. So if you're in an exchange with a girl, you know 100%. It's based on the way that you're being that creates a certain vibe in her. If you start showing incongruence and insecurity, that will, of course, you know, reflect onto the way that the girl is with you. So if you're in a group, I used to be 100%. If you would have spoken to me like 1 year ago and said that, I would have said, yeah, 100%. Or like 2 years ago. Totally, man. I've been like, dude, Germans, most of them are closed off. Now I'm making new experiences, and I'm like determining the level of openness, and I'm like being amazed how much you can influence people by just being yourself and creating this open vibe. And all of a sudden, the people that are like really closed off and, you know, in their own world, they get like a gleam in their eye. Like, that's a really beautiful thing. If I'm like at the cash register, I interact with the cashier lady, or say you're on this like street and you're doing an approach and you say hi to someone that is so used to being in their own world, you know, headphones in, you know, cashier lady like beep, beep, beep. You say like something like from the heart, right? And you're talking about tonality, eye contact, presence, genuine meaning it. All of a sudden there's a gleam in their eyes, and they're astonished. And I think that is a beautiful thing. It's like creating change step by step.
Yeah, no, I feel you, and you're right. You know, like the world is your oyster. You know what I mean? It's up for you. It's up for you to make it happen. You know, if, 100%. For instance, if I was doing a boot camp in Germany, I would instruct people to go do cold approach. You know what I mean? Like, look, you're the one that, it's your world. You're the one that has to make it happen. Now, maybe calibrate, you know, like, I might not be as, like, brash and up front there where I might be here, but at the same time, the interaction has to start somewhere. Otherwise, you're not going to have one, right? So, yeah, man, I'm with you 100%, dude. 100%. Exactly. So what made you, real quick. Hey, guys, you know, we're doing a Q&A session. Seth here is an inter-game coach from Germany, and I'd like to think I know a thing or two about that as well. So, you know, if you got questions or anything like that, now is a good time to take advantage of that time. So, you know, if you got any questions, throw them out there. That's what we're here for. So, yeah man, you know, what made you get into coaching specifically?
Yeah, and by the way, can I be with you 100% in like 60 seconds? I have to just send, because I didn't know we're going to do a full hour. I just have to postpone the upcoming date by 15 minutes. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, that's
back in 60 seconds. Cool.
Yeah, I got you. So, yeah, guys, as soon as Seth gets back here, we're going to, you know, we're going to be doing a little more Q&A. And, you know, so if you got questions, you want to throw them out here, now is a good time. Now is a great time to do that. Take advantage of the time that you're given and, you know, knock it out. So, yeah, dude. So, yeah, man, what made you get into coaching to begin with?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, like, the philosophical essence of it. So basically, when I was like 16, I, you know, started getting my shit together, so to say. I was going down a bad path. And then I started becoming more aware of like, what the fuck do I want in my future and that. So the essence of how I came to the path of like this fulfilling life job, because you're doing coaching, man, like, is there a better thing? Like, honestly, have you ever done better work than this? It's so amazing. You're like helping people.
It's definitely rewarding. It's definitely rewarding, man. You know, one of the things that I really try to stress to people who, you know, are thinking about getting into coaching, and, you know, like I said, I work with a few different people who their ambition is to be coaches, so they're going to be coaches for Modern Valor, but, you know, I'm having them go through the process right now, teaching them, you know, how to structure a program, how to structure a live event, how to structure infield coaching and things like this, you know.
How to build rapport, right? A big thing, how to build rapport, how to establish a connection with someone to the point that they want to listen to what you have to say, right?
Absolutely. And I think the big thing that a lot of guys miss when they think about getting into coaching is it's a responsibility. You know, the thing is that guys are opening up very intimate parts of their lives to you. You know, that they don't put that on Front Street. It's not a thing of everybody knows this about them. And they're opening up and trusting you almost like a therapist, you know, that you're going 100%. To help them. Yeah, dude, you're going to help them through these problems that nobody else has been able to help them through, including themselves. And so, you know, that's a huge responsibility. And I think that that's an honor and a privilege to have people and open up like that. But
and
on the flip side of that,
insight, right? You're getting an insight into the world of like another person, and you're like, I mean, you've built this Modern Valor Dating, which is like a real, like, how many coaches are you building, like creating right now for your program, for your group?
Well, right now we have 3, and I'm trying to bring on more. You know what I mean? I want to have pockets in every area of the world. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to bring on more right now. I've been talking to a couple of guys and things like that. But right now, inside of the coach program, I have 3.
Yeah.
So
and one massive thing that, you know, because I could see definitely a future where One is like building coaches. You know, you're creating like now you're going from being a coach to being a businessman. It's a beautiful, beautiful step. And one thing that is like an important distinction, as you say, is valuing how important the work is that you're doing, and being. We got a question in a sec, but and being like aware of the nuances of the exchange. So many people still have like ego, where they would like be in the coaching role and they would say, "Nice, I'm superior now," and you know
Right.
they would like imbue all their ideas and that. And one really has to distance from that, because like, you know, I've read books on like psychotherapy. Like, I'll just finish the loop real quick. So like basically at 16, then I started looking for something that I really love, and I just experimented with businesses, this, that, and the other thing. And self-help was massive, right? And then I got into approaches and I really improved that, and I thought to myself, wow, I have talent for this and I could teach it. And then that was finally the step I took, do this. But prior to that, it was like a lot of psychology books that I absorbed, like university level psychology books, and they talk about these phenomenons. Like if you're in like a coaching context, you know, there's dynamics that are established between client and therapist, where the client is being highly vulnerable, like allowing like their pain and their world to be open to someone, and the like the coach or the therapist is now in a role where they have to be sensitive and non-egoic, because if they become egoic, then the client looks at the therapist as a father, you know, that kind of thing. So you have to be careful not to be led by ego, but to be led by service.
You know what? I'm glad you touched on that, and we'll get to that question real quick, man. I seen a question come up. I just want to say this real quick before we get to that. I tell people this all the time, man. What I do, this is not a vanity project for me. It's not about me going out into the field and doing game and all that kind of stuff. It's about me teaching you how to do it. When's the last time you've seen a coach in the NBA suit up? Never.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not about that.
Yeah.
It's not about me building an empire. What I'm trying to do is make empire builders. So anybody that's working with me, I want them to have their own empire. I want the coaches that are working with me to be better coaches than me. I want the students that I'm working with to have better game than me. And if I don't, then I did something wrong. That's the way I look at it. And so let me scroll back a little bit here. I passed it. All right, Chris says, what up, Chris? Thanks for throwing this question out here. How would you guys build real self-worth, except from taking action and getting results exclusively? Well, go ahead and answer that, man.
Yeah, big time. I mean, you got multiple things that you can implement, right? Like, number one for building self-worth is you got to start building self-trust. You know, you got to commit yourself to something, and you got to follow through on it. Because every day we're committing ourselves to like certain actions that we want to take, or we're not committing ourselves fully, but we're kind of telling ourselves like, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. But if you're procrastinating on it, you're breaking trust with yourself. So that's the first thing. You got to set yourself fucking commitments and follow through on them. And bit by bit, it's like habit building. Bit by bit, you strengthen your feeling of self-worth. Because you're starting to realize it's like a dynamic. Like I'm speaking with Dale, and I'm saying, okay, so I'm building an impression of him the same way you build an impression of yourself. So you want to build an impression of yourself where you say, that's a guy that takes action and follows through. That's a guy that is a man of his word, confident, present, right? That's the first thing.
I'm with you 100%. Yeah, 100%. Man. I got a couple of things, and I agree with you 100%. That's great advice. One, I know taking action and getting results is a stock answer. So I completely get where he's coming from. That being said, if anything's going to get done, you have to take action. It's just a matter of what actions that you're going to take, right? So that being said, you know, what I encourage people to do is to understand their core values. If you understand what your actual core values are and you live accordingly to those values and you don't waver in them, that gives you self-respect. Self-respect will equal self-worth. You know that you're worth something because you're able to live by a code. So whatever that code is, good or bad, you know, I'm not passing judgment here. You know what I mean? But understand what it is. You know, write it down. Write down what the things of value that you bring to the table. Write it down. Understand what those things are, man. Another thing is a quick book suggestion that I would give you. There's a great book on this called the 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, and I would advocate checking that out. There's a lot of great content in there that can really help you really hone how to have real self-worth, self-respect.
And yes, what's the book called? And then I'll go in. What's the 6 Pillars of Self-Respect?
The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem. It's by
Self-Esteem. Beautiful. I'm going to keep that in mind. And just to follow from there, you're talking about like knowing your core, and then it also has to do with like, you know, self-worth we're talking about. It's being real with yourself. And that's just a continuation of that. And what I mean with that is, you know, don't bullshit your values in, you know, exchange of social validation, in exchange of being such and such a person, you know? And also don't bullshit yourself in your own mind. If you know that you're being incongruent, your thoughts are going to like activate that, and you're going to have a feeling in your chest. Tap into that. You have to tap into that and reflect about, what is this belief that I have, and is it maybe to do with the fact that I'm doing something that doesn't make sense to me? And then you have to be real with that, you know, because that's what self-worth is. If you're, you know, making millions, like let's just take this banal analogy. If you're making millions, but you're doing it by scamming people and your heart isn't in it with you, then that means that you don't have, like, the logical following of that will mean that you have a low feeling of self-worth, whether you want it or not. And that's the case where money doesn't buy happiness, because you're messing with people, you're scamming them. And if you're against that morally, there are some sociopaths out there that are totally cool with that. Don't get me wrong, right? You can like put them in that chaste. But 100%, if you're not good with it, your self-worth is going to be low.
Agreed, 100%. Also, I'll do a quick plug. I got a video on our Modern Valor Dating YouTube channel, self-esteem versus self-confidence. You know, a lot of people kind of confuse. Your self-esteem and self-confidence are 2 different things. They're cousins. They're related, but they're not the same thing exactly. You know what I mean?
Also,
and so, kind of break that down a little bit. You know, so let me scroll down here a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, guys, for checking in. I didn't see you guys checking in here. We're doing a little Q&A session. So, you know, if you got questions related to game, life, inner game, outer game, whatever, it doesn't matter. But Seth here is an inner game coach, and so, you know, now would be a good time if you got something going on inside you that isn't making sense to you, and you're questioning why you're doing something that you're doing when you know you don't want to do it, or you're not doing something that you know you should be doing and you're not doing it. Now's a good time. You know, take advantage of the time that you're given. This is gold advice, you know, so, you know, throw them out there. Throw out those questions, you know. So, how long have you been in game, dude?
Oh yeah, like 3 years, like kind of thing. Cheers, Crispin. Yeah, like 4 years, I guess, is like the first time that I went out there, and you know, it's like born out of necessity. Like I got into it not for the purpose of, you know, like tearing up and, you know, increasing the count and that kind of thing. It was like 100%. Right, you know what I'm saying. It's like you're trying to get that pootak. Like it was 100% born out of necessity for me to say, dude, I have to change this shit, because, and that's what made me into like an inner game coach, is because I realized I have so much shit going on here that is excess, redundant crap that is holding me back. And I thought, how can I change that? And like one massive thing was, you know, taking action and committing yourself to the process. And this is like what differentiated. It's like reflection, you know, going within and like thinking about the nuances, thinking about what it could be, and doing the painful inner work, man. You don't know how many hours, like you could have maybe imagined how many hours I was like, I lived in Vancouver for 9 months, and I basically isolated myself because I said to myself, like, I want to change this. And I did take action. I did approaches, but for the rest of the time, I was like a lot in my room, and I'm like this, right? Like, I have to change it. I have to change it. And thinking, and then I created like, this is why I read these psychotherapy books as well, because then I started having like therapeutic inner dialogue with myself, which is something I could advocate so massively. If we, you know, we all fluctuate emotionally. That goes without saying. So if we fluctuate emotion, we have a day where, you know, we're falling into a certain state, or we have like an older day thought pattern coming up or something like that. We talk with our subconscious. I'm a firm believer that the subconscious wants to give us what we want. It's us after all, but we just give it bad guidance, which means if you're like, if you have like thought patterns that, you know, oh, I feel bad for myself, and you start falling into that thought pattern of feeling bad for yourself, right? Yeah. Obviously, you're telling your subconscious, hey, it's a good thing. Because that's like, it's like what I call it, emotional fetishizing. Right? So you fall into the thought pattern, and by accepting it and saying, oh yeah, this is just me, I suck, then you strengthen your subconscious belief that this is what this guy wants. So what do? You take new action, and you start having dialogue with your subconscious, and you do it like a friend. And I'm like, some people might say like, you do what in your head? But I fucking did this. I would like just sit down and I'd say, dear subconscious, right? And like be like a friend, because a lot of the time we fall into a state where we're feeling bad and we start saying, fucking tits, man, change this. Why are you always like, right? You sit down and you start thinking to yourself, dear subconscious, I know you want what's best for me, right? Yeah. And I know I haven't guided you so well in the past, but I want to tell you something. I'm trying to create a new life for myself. Those old habits that we created in childhood, I'm letting go of them, right? Yeah, so what I would prefer right now is if we were to be confident, present, you know, grounded, if we were to be self-amusing and non-needy, if we could control this aspect of our life, and then I would be so happy with you, right? And that's what I want. So thank you for showing me that this belief is still there, but I don't want it anymore. And you start talking with it, and bit by bit, you're creating new habits of mind that first the like axon, the like connection of the like is this small for the habits. And the old habits are like this. But bit by bit, you strengthen the habits, and they get stronger as the other ones start to wither.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'm with you 100%. And yeah, Chris, cheers, man. Appreciate you throwing that question out there. I hope that broke it down for you in a satisfactory fashion. Are you an NLP guy? Are you an NLP advocate?
I wouldn't say advocate, but definitely made great use of it in the past, and I took some NLP.
Some of the stuff that you're saying, I know. I'm just like I can hear it. You know what I mean? I'm like, some of this stuff is some NLP. You know what I mean? So I'm just curious. All right. What's a few good book recommendations that you would throw out there?
Oh man, I mean that's. You know, there you really have to activate the filter, and it also depends on, you know, where you're at in life. So I believe that, so this is like my esoteric kind of take on life, but I'm not like a firm believer of it, like, this is my belief in Jesus. Like, no offense to religion, it's totally cool, but I'm saying, like, I believe that the universe gives you what you want, what you need in the moment. And, you know, so that's like a broad belief. So what it means is you pick up a book somehow spontaneously and you start reading it. It's like, oh, that book is meant for you in that moment. So I've read books that are like, damn, like spot on, right on the cue. And you know,
well, let me reframe the question then.
Yes.
Say a guy, your average guy that's starting to get into game and just doesn't understand the relationship between himself, his self-esteem, his own personal value. You know what I mean? It's just not something he really considers. He just trudges through the day, you know what I mean? Living life, but not really, you know, not too thoughtful of you know, internal dialogue and all that kind of thing. So what would be some like good places to start?
Well, what I would do is I would try to get them to change their frame as a starting, because we all have, you know, we're raised and that we have like some limiting beliefs and beliefs about how to interact with women kind of thing, you know, like we have to be a nice guy. And so I would say 3 kind of book recommendations, actually 2 authors. Firstly, Rollo Tomassi. Well, that would be my massive recommendation. He wrote Rational Male. It's a fantastic book that like just change your frame and your outlook on like dynamic with the female. That's the first one. Secondly, Mark Manson. You're looking at like models and the subtle art of not giving a fuck. Fantastic books.
It's a great book. Love that book.
Brilliant. Yeah, same here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And number 3 that I would advocate, this is a little bit out of left field, but it's a book called The Sex God Method. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
My man.
That's the one. Yeah.
That's a great book, man. Great.
Fantastic. Yeah, and it changes your sex life, but it also changes your perception of the nuances of the female psyche, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything that you put out there, or everything you said, I've read multiple times, with the exception of models. I don't know why I haven't gotten to that yet. It's on my list of things to get to. I just haven't. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I know where to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you've been in it for a while, man. It's gonna give you like 2-3 nuggets. The rest of it is gonna be recap. Right?
Yeah,
It'll give you 2-3 nuggets. Get to it on your own. Like, it's not a must for someone that's been in it already for a while.
Yeah, I'm a big. I thought for sure you were gonna say Eckhart Tolle. I just saw it coming, but I guess I was wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, of course, man. Yeah.
For whatever reason, you know, like I know that he's got a lot of good stuff, and I've read The Power of Now, and you know, but it's like his writing style. To me, it's just not something that I just can't get into it. You know what I mean? Like it just like I could like if you want to take his stuff and make memes out of it, I'm with you. But as to read it in a book, like it's just something about it. You know what I mean? It's just like it's not my preferred type of style of writing. You know?
I guess
so.
Yeah. I listened to the audiobook. It didn't enthrall me especially, and like you have a 100% valid point. Meditation is right up there on the rung of necessities to get this sorted. I firmly believe like meditation changed my life because it finally was like, oh, dude, relax the mind. Because I was going at 200 miles per hour all the time, like unfathomable speeds. So that was a massive thing, but I don't have any books that stood out to me as to say, like, that is the mindfulness book to read. It just hasn't happened yet. So if I find one, that would probably take the top 3 place. But,
I got you.
I agree.
Yeah. I agree. When it comes to meditation, I think it's super important. You know, I think it's something that you should practice, daily, if not more than, if you can do it more than once a day, if you've got time to do it, go for it, I think it's super important. I know there's different styles of meditation. Much like yourself, I'm the kind of person, my mind doesn't shut off. From the time my eyes open to the time I crash out, my mind is constantly running. You know what I mean? And dude, I've had girls tell me, why can't you just go back to sleep? When I wake up in the morning, I just can't. You know what I mean? Like, my mind just starts going.
That's because you're also driven by your fucking passion. Like, I don't doubt that you're driven by what the fuck you love. I wake up, I'm doing a 5:30 challenge with some buddies of mine. I'm waking up at 5:25. Right? My alarm is going at 5:30. I'm waking up before it, energized, like eyes open. Because we know we're going to seize the day, and whether it's hopping on a call, Instagram live TV call with Dale Valor, or you're doing a coaching session, or you're working on your business, we're motivated.
That's exactly it. And I got you beat by an hour. I got up today at 4:30. So,
Beautiful. You got me beat by an hour. Okay, well, talk next week, bro. I'll get you on 3:30. I'll see what you're going to do about that. Yeah.
Well, so what I was going to say, though, is when it comes to meditation, I don't meditate in the sense that most people, I guess, assume what meditation is, like clearing your mind, thinking about nothing, concentrating on your breathing. I don't do it that way. What I do is it's a very NLP type of way of meditation, in the sense of I visualize. I do a lot of visualization. I do a lot of, that's basically what it is by and large. It's just visualization, exercises, things like that. So my mind is still going. My mind's still active. And so I use that to my advantage when it comes to meditation. I let my mind rest when I sleep, I guess. But I just try to use that to, since I feel it to be an asset more than a liability. So if it's an asset, I'm going to use it, So, Chris threw out another question here. Something that might be interesting for a lot of people. What's your guys' recommendation, advice, what to do in this current time? All right. So I've touched a lot on that with COVID-19 shutdown and everything, but let me get your take on it.
What's my take? Man, I'd be interested to hear what you have to say, but my bit of advice is find shit to keep yourself occupied. Numero uno, that's my advice in life in general. Don't rely on girls as your number one factor of excitement in life. Create a fucking life you love. Go out there and do sports. Go travel. Go to the fucking exciting events. Create a social circle and have girls as a supplementation, but not as a foundation. And that is the same thing that applies here. Find shit to do. Create yourself a daily to-do list and just experiment. Read books. Create a business, whatever it might be. It's not wasted time because you're learning. Even if your eBay dropshipping business goes to shit 3 months down the line, you experimented and now you know that it's not your thing. Record, a podcast. Find a way to give value to the world. Find a way to give value to yourself. Use this time productively. And it's hard to hold yourself accountable. Do two things to hold yourself accountable. Whenever you find yourself losing track, go get some sunshine, go for a walk. And number two, hold yourself accountable by Skyping with friends, by talking with people, and the situation will relax relatively soon. At least in most countries it will lower and people are going to have mandatory face masks. But for the time being, hold yourself accountable with friends as well. Tell people, hey, listen, I want to do a Zoom call with you. I want to hold myself accountable. Use other people as a net to fall back on. They can hold you accountable. You need that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Mike, I see you checking in here, man. We're doing a little question and answer session. So if you got any game-related questions, inter-game-related questions, now it's a good time to throw that out there. So, feel free to throw out a question. But in regards to Chris's question, I think it kind of matters, in the context of if you mean what to do now for game or what to do now to fill your time, So if and I agree with everything that you said, man, and that's what I've been advocating to people too, is if I saw a meme, I don't know, man, a little while back. It was I'm paraphrasing, but it was something along the lines of, if you don't come out of this with a job or a new hobby or discipline or something productive, then you're just lazy, straight up and down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you're bullshitting yourself. Yeah, 100%.
If when it comes to game in this particular environment, I mean, the obvious answer that everybody's throwing out is, Tinder. But I'd say take it a step past that. If clearly you're on Instagram, if you're throwing out that question, right? So, which means that you're on social media. If you're on social media, you have a social circle network on social media. There's been people that you've interacted with since whenever you signed up till this very minute. The people that you haven't talked to in a while, just reach out to them. Just see how they're doing. You know what I mean? Send them a quick little video message, something like that. Men and women, you know what I mean? And also, on Facebook or whatever, man, just send direct messages to people that you haven't talked to in a while. And that way, when we come out of this, your real world social circle could be that much bigger. Hey, when this is all over, I'm throwing a post-quarantine party. And so I'm having everybody over at my house. It'd be good to see you. Haven't seen you in a minute. Why don't you come on through? We're all going to sit around and drink Coronas. Whatever, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, do things like that. Be proactive in reaching out to people, and when it comes to women, if you've been out and you've collected, numbers, you've number closed a bunch of different girls, and they're cold leads at this point. You haven't talked to them in 6 months. Reach back out to them. You know what I mean? Get conversations going and things like that, because people are sitting around bored, they're happy to engage with people. And so if you reach back out to these people, who knows what can happen once, all the lockdown and all that stuff is over. You're going to come out of this with a tremendously large social circle, So I think that's that's why I've been telling people, you know what I'm saying?
And I can only agree. And one distinction that I would have to, add that is important to me, and I agree 100%, but I have one piece of advice that I was actually having a coaching call over Skype with someone, and I gave advice that was perfect for him, but highly unconventional, and you're not going to likely be fully on board with it, in the thought process, and nor would many people that are in this area of expertise. And that was to my friend, or to my client in the conversation. It was, listen, man, this 1 month, because he was saying to himself, I'm not committing myself to doing any approaches, but I still feel hesitation. And he was actually having pains in his chest and in his back because he felt like he was not taking steps toward finding the woman of his dreams or the girl that he really is attracted to. And I told him, listen, man, this month is your time to do inner work game, to work on yourself. And the distinction was, I gave him the awareness that you're actually not getting further away from the girl of your dreams, the woman of your dreams, by engaging in this process. You're getting closer to it. By fixing the inner work, by fixing the inner things, you're taking steps closer to it. And so I told him, this 1 month, you're not going to have any hesitation about, should I approach her, or, oh man, there's a cute girl when you're going shopping. It's it's not even an option. There's 0% chance you're approaching her. You're doing that 1 month. You're working on yourself. Because so many people don't even find the time to work with their mind. So I told them, listen, 1 month, and I gave the analogy, which I think is really fantastic. It's you're basically opening a faucet that has old grit. When you turn the faucet, you allow the thoughts to flow up. They're like old grits that come, and it starts flowing through. And you have to let it flow. You have to leave the faucet open, let the grit flow through, until finally you start seeing some traces of clear water. Right. And the more you let the grit go out, and that grit obviously being limiting beliefs, thoughts, and habits that you acclimatized in childhood, you start to let it go and go and go, and soon clear water starts flowing out. And you
I agree. I do. This might surprise you. I agree with you 100%. And as you were telling this, as soon as you said he was having chest pains and back pains from not approaching, that's initially where my thought went. Well, it's all right, he needs to take a timeout. You know what I'm saying? Because clearly this is too important to him. You know what I mean? He needs to not let that be such a pressure on him. Like he had something to prove or something like that. So and as a matter of fact, one of my guys that I'm coaching here in Detroit, he doesn't know it yet, and I haven't told him yet, but I told him this. He kind of has some psychological things going on to where he's really bitter towards women, all right?
Yes, you got to deal with it.
So, and in part, it's due to he looks – well, that's what he's expressed to me. What he's told me is, women have it so easy, I have to do all the work, and he's bitter. And I kind of relayed some things to him that he didn't consider before, and I think it opened up opened up his eyes in a lot of ways. I was like, all right, man, look. I'm like, I hear you, and it seems that way, okay? But here's the thing, dude. Of course, a girl that's super hot, is it hard for her to get a date? No, of course not. But here's the difference.
Is it hard for her to get a genuine date? Yes, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Exactly. That's in part what I told him. But I was like, look at it this way, man.
Yeah.
All the work that you're putting in to be able to talk to her, she's putting in the equal amount of work of keeping herself in shape, dietary, because that's where her value is. You're working on your value on the inside and being able to communicate that, right?
Yes.
She's working on her value from the outside in. So, she knows that her worth and her value is wrapped up in how she looks. That's what she brings to the table. So she has to stay in shape. She has to constantly be worried about if people are judging her for her looks. If she lets one thing slip, that's going to be an insecurity that she hangs on to. if people say one thing about her, oh, you know, oh, it looks like you put on a couple of pounds.
Yeah.
She's going to hang on to that forever.
Yeah.
You know, it takes her 4 hours to get ready to go to the club as to where it takes you 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And there's massive, and the thing is though, there's nuances to what you just said, because it's 100% true, but it touches the surface. There's an area to go below that, which like not only can we utilize, but we can make our interactions much more fruitful and, you know, energetic and enlivened, which is when we start to realize that that's what women are, you know, conditioned to have to be like, because as you say, there's the judgment. If you see a girl without makeup, all of a sudden people are giving her the attention and stuff like that. But she's not, in her internal world, the superficial is not everything. It's almost flipped, where guys, evolutionarily, we like the voluptuous. You know, we see the good birthing hips, the thin waist, the breasts. It all speaks for a good reproductive capacity for us. Yeah. Right? But for the woman, she evolutionarily looks for a man that is strong-minded, strong-willed, confident, present, and that can go the steps to survive and reproduce. And the steps to like survive and reproduce now are not fucking killing a wild boar or a lion. The steps to be able to reproduce now successfully are being able to have a social interaction, being socially confident. You said leading and learning these nuances. So the way that you can set yourself apart is you start to become different than the other guys by making it by going a level deeper. And you're not going up to a girl and saying, hey, I thought you were attractive, because the amount of girls that have told me that they thought, you know, why is a guy complimenting my body? I know I look good. It's hereditary. You know, you go to a deeper nuance that activates your emotional mind. You say, you know, I thought you looked interesting. You know, I liked your style. And all of a sudden she goes, you like my style? Yeah, I did this, right? You know, she's not reacting that giddy, but she's like, oh yeah, totally. I just like, I like the jacket as well. Or whatever she reacts. She's now invested and she thinks, this guy is interested in me. Not like the other guys that are interested in my body. And that's a massive nuance that is like, that is a nuance of all these techniques that people learn. It makes it like you're interested in her and her energy more than her body.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. But the thing I'm going to have my guy do, you know, I explained all this to him, but the one thing I was like, dude, I've got an exercise for you. As soon as we're out of lockdown and we're able to get back out there and all that kind of stuff, what I'm going to have him do, and I hope he doesn't see this, it's good because I know he's not going to want to do it, all right? But he's going to do it. I'm going to have him like the first time we go out, all he's going to do is walk up and compliment them about something and walk away. That's it.
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I mean? Because and the reason for that is because everything that he's doing is so invested in him trying to get something. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I want him to just go up and do something for nothing. Expect nothing in return. And even if she reciprocates, and wants to keep the conversation going, nope, he's got to go. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to receive any benefits from this. It's going to be completely altruistic. You know what I'm saying?
100%. Dude, great task, man. 100% great task.
Well, thank you.
Because what does it create in the because what does it create in the person? You said it. It creates no expectations, non-neediness, real presence. Because there's a difference. If I go in, for example, this exchange where we're freely flowing, we're interacting. If I go into this interaction and I say, hey man, you know, what's the answer? Are you gonna respond? Give me a, right? And that's like neediness. And you're, you know, what that is leechy energy. You know, you interact with someone like that and you're like, yeah. And it's an energy. That's nothing that you can describe and saying, say this, say that, versus a laid back frame. And it's like, you know, hey, I thought you looked interesting. Like, I just wanted to say hi, Ru. And that's like, I don't need anything. I'm me. Whether or not you accept or approve of it, and I'm just putting forth my authentic self. That's all it is. I'm putting forth my authentic self. Like, accept it and love it, or just like leave it be. Yeah, and that's totally non-needy. And what that creates is For her, it creates freedom to express yourself. Because the feminine energy, right? This is like a little bit more nuanced, like energetic kind of thing that I don't do too much of. But the feminine energy wants to express itself, wants to be fluid. Too many guys don't realize that. If you give her the space, she's gonna be the most flowery, fucking loving, excitable person you could find. But it only happens if you give her that space to be herself, and you don't like, oh yeah, oh okay, right?
Yeah. To me, it's kind of like, oh, before I say that, hey guys, I saw you checked in real quick. Just wanted to throw out, we're doing a Q&A session, so if you guys got any questions in regards to inner game, outer game, regular game, whatever, you know what I mean? Go ahead and throw it out, and we're happy to chop it up with you. So, what I was going to say is, if you as a man, if you take the initiative to lead, then she'll take the initiative to follow. So. And by leading, it's not micromanaging. It's not, being a dictator, being a tyrant. That's not leading. If you're going to be a leader, you want to inspire. You want to inspire people to follow you. You want them to want to follow you, not because they have to, because there's a gun to their head. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that lets that, like you said, man, that frees them up to be themselves. And to be free in that, if you're not micromanaging every little nuance, every little thing, like, oh, you're not doing this right, you're not doing that right, you fucked that up, you did this,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not leading, that's just nitpicking.
And micromanaging equals neediness, which means like I can be needy in this exchange, for example, or let's like pick a common one from like, relationships that's like in movies and stuff like that. It's like the person that says I love you too soon. And which energy does that I love you come from most of the time? It's like, tell me you love me back.
Right.
Like
yeah.
I love you. I feel our relationship is like growing apart, but tell me you love me back. I need that validation. And that is like exactly the energy that is in a much more nuanced way in like so many interactions, which is like, rather than me, there's nuances in every little thing I say. If I ask you a question and I say like, oh yeah, so like how'd you get into this? Like the way you're asking me. It's like from a frame of like, I'm interested to hear what got you into this. I'm interested in you as a person versus what got you into this? What got you right? And that's like needy. Is like, give me information. Like, don't create silence. Don't do, right? So it's nuances in the energy, 100% of the time. And that's, it's the follows back. Do I say I love you, expecting something in return, or do I say I love you to my girl in like genuine expression of love? Right.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm with you 100%, man. 100%. Yeah, dude. So where do you see your coaching going? Like, what's your ambitions? Like, what's your end game?
Yeah. It's a good question. I see it growing more broad, which means like at the moment I'm slightly restricted, obviously. I was looking to go into seminars and like start speaking to larger masses. So I definitely see myself being in a more expansive role of helping people overall improve their mind, improve their confidence, their charisma, and it's not game that is the end goal, which is this is a beautiful thing, right? But I don't see myself in this niche indefinitely. I see myself expanding, and that's like, just helping people on a wider scale. And at the moment, it is in the niche of helping men. Yeah. But I could see myself going into a wider thing, but we have to specify at the beginning. And this is something that I've helped men in the past. And I'm passionate about helping men in the future, but I'm also passionate about helping people in general.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I mean, that's not my, like, that makes all the sense in the world to me. That's not my objective per se. Yes. I mean, some of it is, but the thing is that
you're right. Yeah.
Right. I believe this to be almost universally true across the board, is that guys get into pickup, guys get into game, whatever you want to call it, right? They get into it because they want to get better with women, right? I mean, that's why they show up.
Yeah.
Very quickly, they realize that all the things that are going to make them attractive, like they start seeing all the flaws that they have that they got to work on. And so as they work on that to become more attractive to women, they quickly understand that those are all skill sets that are going to take them far in life. So it's not they come to get better with women, but they stay to get better with life.
Exactly.
And I mean, like I was just telling this to somebody today, man, a student that I'm coaching. It's kind of like this, man. When I got into this, there's no way that well, let me put it this way. Before I got into this, there's no way that you could have told me that I would be, I had 2 real estate companies that I own as well as this, and like you would have, I would have said you were crazy if you would have told me that I'd be doing sales and and all that kind of stuff. There's no way I could have did that back in the day. But the thing is I learned the skill set from being a part of this. You know what I mean? And because human nature is human nature. Sales are sales. At the end of the day, you're selling yourself and you're selling experiences, whether it's a house, a car, a wristwatch, an aircraft carrier. You know what I mean? It doesn't make a difference what it is. At the end of the day, sales are sales. And when you're doing game, you're really selling. You know what I mean? So man.
But it's more nuanced than that. You're selling yourself, but at the same time, you're not the salesperson. Like in general, you're presenting an image of yourself, and you want that image to be formidable because we're talking about human psychology. And one distinction that I just wanted to mention is, you mentioned when people are starting out. And when people are starting out, there's a lot of this thing where, I'm going to quote fucking Kanye West, right?
Okay.
Of all people. Kanye West says in a song, it's like, having money isn't everything, not having it is.
Yeah.
So these guys, they're sitting at home and they're fantasizing. You're starting out, and it's rightfully so. Dude, we've all been there. You're fantasizing about how cool it could be. Having a girl, having them call you, having them write you. You start getting it. Yeah, it feels pretty cool, but you start realizing this is not going to be my life, like chasing girls for the rest of my life, or chasing things. Yeah. You start to realize, as you say, this is life skills. And you move on because now you have it mastered. And you don't move on from women. Now you're confident. You're going to have women in your life. And it's amazing. Hear me out. It's amazing. But now you start where 3 years ago I was saying, if only this. 4 years ago, if I had all these women. And now you start saying, I have them. Let's create a life that we really enjoy. So the philosophy, having money isn't everything. Not having it. Not having money isn't everything, not having it is. If you don't have the women, you're saying to yourself, if only. But then you have them and you say, what else? What else does life have to offer?
Right, exactly. No, I'm with you 100%. What's up, Andre? I see you. Yeah, so we're doing a little Q&A session here. And so if you guys got questions, make sure you throw them out. You'll be back in 10 minutes or so. I don't know if we'll be back in 10 minutes or so. I don't know what time it is.
Probably not. Yeah.
But yeah, so if you got a question, I would suggest you probably do it now. I don't know if you've done a session on IG before like this, but the thing is that basically 30 seconds before an hour is up, I'll get a timer on my screen. You know what I mean? And that's what lets me know cut it off because it gives you an hour exactly. So
it gives you an hour, seriously.
Yeah, an hour exactly. So.
You can't prolong that for like 24 hours, or what's the deal?
No, you have to just start over. You know what I mean? Do it again.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? But so it'll get you an hour, and sooner or later I'll see a little 30-second countdown on my screen. So,
fair enough.
Andre, if you got a question, man, now's the time, bro. Anyway, but no, I'm with you 100%, man. When you start getting those things in your life that you didn't have before, you realize it's not necessarily the be all end all. It's cool, like you said, like it's it's nice, you know what I mean? But it's not everything that you thought it was going to be necessarily. And I liken it to, oh, there goes the counter right there. Well, I don't really have time to get into the story I was going to say. But anyway, dude, man, I appreciate you coming on with me. This was super dope, man. I had a great time. You know, make sure you check them out on Instagram here. Throw out your Instagram real quick.
Yeah, this is my Instagram. So Seth Coach, that's the #1. I'm just giving value daily. You know, if you want to transform your life.